Instagram, we're over 100, so we are safe. Let's start. So today, we entitled this session From Mukumbani Village with 7 Distinctions and a Dream, right? That's how Fulufhelani left Mukumbani Village back in 2016. But this conversation is located within this question that says, where are they? We celebrate our young people every year who pass matric in flying colors. Some of them get 7 distinctions like Fulufhelani did. They get 8 distinctions, 10 distinctions, lots of distinctions. We celebrate them on TV, on magazines, on newspapers, on radio stations, and it is great. But what is interesting is that as a country, we don't follow up what happened. What happened to them after celebrating them? We only see them at celebration of their matric results, and there isn't always a follow-up. Some of them do exceptionally well. But the truth of the matter is, some of them don't. There are those who fall by the wayside. And truly speaking, my heart breaks that we've got so many of these young people that we parade. We take joy in parading them. We take joy in celebrating them. But we don't always do the work of supporting them, mentoring them, protecting them once they have been celebrated. They go to the top universities here and elsewhere in the world. Some of them make them, some of them don't. And now, in a space such as this, where excellence is so rare, even when we lose one, in my view, it's a crisis. We cannot afford to lose any of our bright sparks, any of the students who get celebrated. Let me give you an example that we don't. I mean, I watch them, right? I try to follow up, but of course they disappear from the media space. So if you don't see them, you don't. But I remember one year, and we'll be talking to others next week. Today's Fulu, but I remember one year we celebrated one young person from Limpopo, actually, who it was the first time that the top learner, overall top learner in the country was black, and she was a woman, and she was from Limpopo. I can't remember what school. We were so happy. The country was celebrating. Her face was everywhere. Young, beautiful, dreamy, with a vision. And she went to Wits University, registered for an actuarial science degree. And I remember that in February, during the State of the Nation address, the president, at that time it was President Jacob Zuma, invited her to the State of the Nation address. And the nation was so happy. Her face again popped up again. She's now at the State of the Nation address. And that's in February. I remember sitting at home and saying to my family, I don't like this idea that a young person has performed so well, they've now started their education, and her peers are in class. She is flown to the State of the Nation address. And I said, I hope someone is paying attention to the fact that when she comes back, she's on board. Because while she's spending the day as the State of the Nation, her peers are in class. They're getting lectures, they're getting ahead, and I said, this is actuarial science. You don't play that way. You don't miss lectures. You don't miss a day. It doesn't matter whether the Pope is here. You don't. You go to class. And I said, I hope she's got a mentor, and I hope someone is taking care of her, and I hope someone makes sure that she succeeds. I wasn't an academic at Wits at that time, but the students went to the State of the Nation address, and that was the last time we heard of her. We haven't heard of her again. I looked for her maybe last year or 2 years ago because I wanted to know, where is she at? I was doing some program and I was looking for her, and someone said, well, things didn't go so well at Wits University. She ended up dropping out, and someone said, well, at the moment she's at University of the Free State, she decided to start afresh. And of course, a message came through that she doesn't want to talk, and I understand, and I honor that. But the point that I'm making is that here we are. We've got to, at some stage, pause as the nation and say, when we parade people to celebrate them, to see how great they are, it is great. We must showcase them. We must share their excellence to inspire others, to show others that it is possible. I think that's important. But I think we must also set up support mechanisms, mentoring systems. When you do that, maybe what we do as well, we should, as a university that's recruited a student like that, or maybe as a nation, or maybe as people who are showcasing this, ask the nation. Professor so-and-so, Dr. so-and-so, Madam so-and-so, can you mentor this young person who is doing well and there's hope for her and she might make sure that she confides in you, you can support her, give her good advice. Because if I were mentoring that young person who was a veteran that year who was invited to the State of the Nation address, I would have said to her, it is wonderful, but please don't go. I would have said to her, you know what? You don't sacrifice anything for lectures, not at first year, not in first semester, not in lectural science. You don't do that. Even with any degree, first year, first semester, you don't miss lectures. Well, as a rule, you don't miss lectures generally, but as a first year, it's even more serious. Now, as a first year, first semester, it's even more serious. Well, if you're doing actuarial science, where you're getting into a university with all the students in your class are smart, everyone knows, you don't want to be missing lectures, right? And I'm just saying we've got to put mechanisms in place. I'm not saying don't celebrate them. I'm saying put support mechanisms in place to make sure that they succeed. Because if they don't, it is a huge loss for us. Now, we're not talking about, we are not here, when we ask the question, where are they now? The idea is not to mock anyone. The idea is to educate. The idea, I cannot stop the media what they want to do. The media are looking for good news, and these are good news stories, and they must grab them. So they are not doing anything wrong. They've got to showcase. I'm educating. First of all, the parents of children who get the exceptionally outstanding results. I'm educating the parents. So say, if your daughter or your son gets those results and gets celebrated, don't just beat the drums and be happy and think everything is sorted your child. You've got to know how to support your daughter or your son. You've got to be there, and I'll talk a little bit about it, and not only today, but as we go along. And as we talk to Fulufhelani, I'll also ask her about the role her parents played, particularly her mother, because she's a woman, but I'll talk to her about that, because it is hugely, hugely important. So the first education is parents. So we are here to say, we're going to get this talent, and it's going to be showcased again. Let's showcase it, let's celebrate it, let's parade it. But let's educate ourselves as a nation. Parents, you've got to take a keen interest in your child who's a top performer, whose face is all over the media. She's only 17 or 18. Some are even 16, right? The face is all over the media. They've never had such attention. They're getting gifts left, right, and center. They're getting interviews. Everybody wants to talk to them. The neighbors, everyone, relatives, say whatever. Everybody is laying the red carpet at that time. And they've got a future in front of them. Parents, pay attention. Secondly, I want to say that us as universities, we can see who gets paraded. We can see who gets paraded. And we are excited. By the way, that these top learners, when they get paraded, we as vice chancellors phone them. We phone them. We want them to come. We lure them with funding and this and that and that. Now, I'm saying, the idea is not just to get them in our universities. The idea is also to support them to make sure that they succeed. So we as universities have to take interest. It's not that we're just going to make them pass. We're going to pay attention to what happened to that student. And maybe as a vice chancellor, you want to have once a year, once a quarter, whatever, a touch base to see how are things going, so that you can suggest. Maybe as a vice chancellor, you want to propose, have a mentor, make sure that they're in the program, maybe where the support, academic support, and so on and so forth. Does it mean you don't pay attention to the other students? Of course you do. But this one is being paraded as the top. So there's something there. So I'm just saying, we've got to learn as a society. Church is the third education space. When your the child who goes to your church gets paraded, you become so happy as a church. And I'm saying, in your happiness, also support them. Not only by buying them umpago as they take their bus to Durban to start university, but also in terms of checking in, not only just in praying with them and making them feel guilty if they have failed the first test, but checking in with them and giving them ideas, suggesting mentors, suggesting this so that they can succeed. That's the education. But look, I was never celebrated as a matriculant. I was never a top matriculant. So what do I know? I'm talking about this from a point of an adult, a university leader, an educator, that I see things and I see experiences of learners, and I think we can make it better. But I want us to talk to people who have experienced this. And that's what we're doing in this last, as we complete the Duke series. We're talking to people who have experienced, who are top performers, and they were celebrated, and we're asking where are they now. And today we're talking to Fulufhelani Mashapha. She's from Venda, from Mukumbani village, and I'm going to be connecting with her on Instagram. Facebookers, I hope you can hear us. If you can't, please indicate. My technology has improved quite a bit, so please let me know if you're struggling with the volume. But the idea is that you also hear us. Fulu, as I described her on Twitter, I said she's smart. You know, she's incredibly smart. She's respectful. She's creative. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she got her Bachelor of Natural Science degree. Bachelor of Business Science and Natural Science degree, record time at UCT. I didn't choose her because she's at UCT. I chose her because she was celebrated as the top learner in quintile 2. I put the video on all the platforms. I'm sure you saw the video, and I want us to talk to her. Fulu, where are you? Let's see where you are. I want to go live with you, Fulu. So I'm gonna be looking for where you are. Fulufhelani, yes. Hey, for those of you who don't know, Fulufhelani means have hope. Be hopeful, if you like. Fulu, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. You must speak a little louder. The people on Facebook will tell me if they can't hear you, but otherwise, you're on Instagram, and the Twitter crew can get you here as well. Online. So thank you so much for joining me. Fulufhelani, I got it right?
Yes.
Be hopeful.
Yes.
I should have said Ndimasheroni.
Actually, Ndimasiari.
Ndimasheroni is later.
No, Ndimasheroni is morning. Masiari is like afternoon.
Dimasiari. I will get it one day. I'll get the whole entire sentence. You know, my Venda children bought me a book when President Ramaphosa was inaugurated. My Venda children adverts bought me a book that translates English and Venda, that gives an English Venda translation, and they said to me, and now you have no excuse because the president is Venda. You're gonna have to be able to have a conversation. So you've got to learn.
You have to. And besides, Venda is a beautiful language.
It's a beautiful language. I mean, it is the French. Yes. It is what I mean. I always say Venda and isiXhosa. They are like the Latin languages of African languages. I mean, isiXhosa and Venda, like they roll on your tongue. Like you want to listen. Like yes. I mean, I can speak a little bit of isiXhosa, but Venda is like okay, all right. I can hear a little bit. But not all together, you know. But Fulu, thank you so much. Let me say that, I mean, I don't want to detract attention from everything. You make education look so beautiful, just like you make that afro look amazing. You're killing this education thing in every which way, and I feel so blessed that I've been able to sit in the same room and have a chat. I feel so blessed that I have you on my speed dial. Am I on your speed dial?
Of course! You're like number 2.
All right. So You completed matric in 2015, and in 2016 you were celebrated as the top learner in quintile 2. And of course, quintile 2, there was quintile 1. They were there. So, but I remember when we met. I mean, I remember asking you how that was. And I mean, you are so funny, and you were telling me how it was, and you were telling me how you were flooded with computers, iPads, and iPhones, and whatever. How was it being announced as a top learner and being on our television screens in that way?
It was a shock because you wake up one day. I remember they called me, the national people called me on the 2nd of Jan. Am I audible? So they called me on the 2nd of Jan, and they're like, okay, so they called me. I didn't pick up my phone. They called my school, and then someone called my mom. One of my teachers called my mom. And my mom was so angry that I wasn't picking up my phone. So she calls me. She's like, the national people have been calling you. Where are you? I scream. I'm like, what? This is a phone call I've been waiting for. But what happened after that moment wasn't anything that I expected. I was like, okay, I am just an ordinary girl from nowhere in Limpopo, and next thing I'm on TV. Next thing, people are calling me nonstop. I have interviews. You know, people are just like, oh, it's you. When you're walking around, people are pointing at you. So now it's weird. You're like, what is this?
Now everybody notices you.
Exactly. Now
you're not anonymous anymore. You're not anonymous anymore at the mall.
No, you are not. You are not. And now everyone wants to meet up with you. Everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone wants you to talk to their kids. You know, everyone wants you at that point in time. So it was a pretty hectic period where you are just like,
Fulu, I never factored this one, that other parents want you to talk to their kids.
Yes, they do. They call you.
So it's not only the
media
and other parents. It's like it's not like the media and relatives and your educators. It's like people who don't even know you say, maybe you can talk to my kid, because they think that their child can also be as brilliant as you are.
Yeah, and even now, it's like, even throughout university, you have parents calling you to be like, my kid is considering studying this thing. What can you say to them? Or, you know, there was a parent that called me this one time. They were like, I have a 13-year-old. She's giving me problems. She doesn't listen to me. Can you at least just talk to her? Say something to her, because I feel like I've done everything I could. And you're like, you know, I'm a kid, right?
So you immediately get seen as a counselor. You should be talking to now, but you are feeling like, well, I'm a teenager myself.
Deep inside, I mean, it's one of the things that are in your mind at the time. You understand I'm just a kid, right? Like, I know I was on TV, but I'm still very much a kid. But you just share whatever you have at that point in time. And I think it also contributed to me kind of like growing or maturing very quickly compared to my, peers, because now you're in this position where parents believe you have a solution to whatever problem that they're facing, and you just, I don't know, you embrace it. I embraced it. I was like, okay, cool. These people see something in me, and I will share what I have. I will share my experiences. I will try to talk to their kids and make them see things from my perspective, to say, even though I come from a village where when it rains, it pours and the roads are slippery, no one goes anywhere when it rains. So it's horrible. So I wanted to just share with the other kids what I had in mind, because I hated that situation. I told myself this one time when it was raining in Jan, we were walking 5 kilometers to catch transport to go to school. And it's like 5 kilometers going to the tar road, which was very far at that point, and 5 kilometers coming back. And I remember being so tired. And I was like, if there's one way, or if there's one thing that can take me out of this mess, is education. I need to make it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something for me that it was growing up. That's the thing. It's something that can take me out of this poverty situation is education. Even whether it's the